Welcome back to FallingFoxGaming, everybody. I'm your host Blaine, and today we're going to be playing a game called There Is No Light. Now, before we jump in, I want to make a couple of things pretty clear. One, I got this game for free from the developers, but it's not a sponsored video. They actually just sent me an email saying, hey, here's a Steam code, try out the game. There's no embargo on it, so if you want to make a video, great, but no obligation to do so. And with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and be completely honest. I completely forgot about this game, and I don't know much about it. I do know that it's set in a dystopian future where humanity's been pushed to the brink of extinction, but that's kind of it. I remember seeing a trailer for this game a long time ago, thinking that it looked pretty cool, and I added it to my Steam wishlist, and then proceeded to forget about it for a very long time. And very recently, when the new trailer came out saying, hey, the game is coming out really soon, I was going to look into it, and then I never did, and then I got an email giving me the game. So I was like, I might as well make a video on this, seeing as they're being cool enough to give me a free game, but I'm going to make sure to review this in a very honest, unbiased way. I have no obligation to say anything nice about the game, so I'm going to be very honest the entire time I'm playing it. So if you're watching this and you're looking for some kind of review, this is going to be a brutally honest, I'm going to say everything I like and don't like about it, and that's not something we've done on this channel before. So let's just go ahead and hop right in and see what we think about this game. Just looking at this too, the artwork is pretty fantastic. I do know that it's supposed to be like a pixelated type game, but the general artwork like this is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and just start a new game, and we're presented with two different options. So there's the warrior game mode, which is normal gameplay, play as is, and then traveler, which is an easy game mode, which apparently gives you some bonus restorable medkits, fewer enemies, and special doors and medkits do not use karma, which I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it's important and makes the game a lot easier. We're just gonna go ahead and go with warrior because normal gameplay, that's what we're looking for. Now, I am worried about these opening cutscenes being a little too graphic for my channel with how I do things, so I might cut these out if I feel they are needlessly grotesque. Presumably that's us. Oh, that's not going well. That's not a good day. Okay, so when the enemy starts to perform an attack, a special marker appears above their head. Try to interrupt the attack a few times by attacking him. Okay, so we interrupt their attack with our own attack. Presumably that means we're faster than them. So let's go ahead and just move around. Yeah, so that's a bad guy. There's a little symbol. So attack when the symbol pops up, apparently. Yep, like that. There we are. Simple enough. Defeat all soldiers by performing simple and stabbing attacks. To dodge an enemy's attack, use spacebar. What is a stabbing attack? I'm assuming that just left click is a simple. Let's see here. So simple. I don't know how to do the other things, so I guess we'll... Oh, whoa, hey, look at that. There's spacebar diving around. Wait, maybe it's diving around and attacking. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. So diving around and attacking gives us like this cool little like dodge thing. Oh, okay. So do I... There we go. That's simple enough. Whoa, what is that? Ah! Alright. Sure. Every interactive object is surrounded by butterflies. To interact with an object, approach it and press F. I do like that they're going to make sure interactable objects are very visible because there is kind of a lot going on the screen. Now, I don't see any butterflies, but that looks interactable. Oh, right here. To interact with NPCs or objects, walk up to them and press F. Okay, so we can either skip some of the text by hitting this little button here, I believe, or spacebar, it seems like. Let's see. No wonder people say you can't run forever. They can when everyone was asleep. Someone must have found out and told the Solar Corps. I don't know who they are, but alright. No one survived. They slaughtered everyone in their sight. Well, clearly I'm alive, so I survived. I'm running out of time. Son, listen. They took her along with your baby. Go to the central station. They want to give your child to the hand. Oh, that sounds bad. It's too late for me. Alright, so presumably we just watched our mother die. That's depressing. Am I using a crowbar? Hold on. Yeah, because we got the crowbar in the opening scene, right? Yeah, I just realized I'm actually walking around using a crowbar. And I also like that we don't look like some like bulky hero. We kind of actually got like a little bit of like a dad bod going on. Butterflies. So press F. There we go. I will say, so far the controls are pretty simple. Oh, whoa, hey. I broke some boxes. To skip dialogue, press spacebar or click the button under the hero's feet. Yep, that's just what I just said the last conversation. So those are bad guys, right? Ooh, they're talking and we can kind of hear them. Oh, this is kind of cool. Look at this. As I get closer, the text fades in and out so I can see it better or worse depending on where I'm actually standing at. Oh, I like that. I thought at least some of them would fight back. Come on, it's better than living in the barracks. Of course. The officer came up with a pretty clever plan, huh? Hide the beacon in a barrel of wax. I don't know what that means, but alright. I'm assuming I just gotta fight these guys. Let's see what happens. Yep, so fight these guys. So this stab attack is a little... Hold on. I don't know if I'm just like doing this wrong. Sometimes it doesn't work when I'm actually in combat. A couple of times this dive thing hasn't worked, like the dive stab attack. That might just be me not knowing what I'm doing though. Looks like I can break barrels and stuff. But I don't know if I have like an inventory, so I don't know what the purpose of that is, other than just doing it for fun, which I'm not against. I do like breaking shit in games just for fun. Helps break up travel. Problem is, though, it slows me down gameplay-wise because I break everything because I feel like I'm going to miss something if I don't. Another interesting thing to note is that this game does have controller support apparently on PC here. It said the PS4 controller and Xbox One controllers work for it, so that's something to take note of. Okay, blue butterflies circle interactive objects. If the red butterflies are circling the object, you are in combat and interaction with the object is impossible. Okay, so when we're interacting with stuff, red means we're in combat and can't interact with it. Well, those are blue, so let's interact. Whoa! Okay, I just jumped down a cliff. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. Chill out, dude. Okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, so I want to say this right now. Before I continue on, the artwork of this game is pretty ingenious. So all the butterflies that are circling around this, they were actually red when I was fighting the guy, and after he died, they slowly transitioned back to blue. They didn't just kind of switch over. That's a good touch. It's good attention to detail. The one thing I will say is that I do feel like some of the movement is a little bit clunky, but that, again, might just be me and not knowing the controls too well yet. It's been a while since I played a game that had any kind of controls like this, so it might just be me. But I do feel like it would be a lot easier to play with a controller. So maybe if I play this game again, maybe I'll try it with a controller and see how I like it. When dealing damage to enemies with any ability, the hero adds to the healing shard meter. If you deal damage with an ability when the meter is full, a healing shard will fall out of the enemy. If you destroy it, the hero will receive 1 health point. Okay, so when dealing damage to enemies, so that's like this little bar it looks like. So it looks like when we attack things, we build up a bar, and then if we do an ability, when we have 2 of these things, we get a health point. Seems simple enough. Use the ability with the right click, fill up the meter, and destroy the health shard, the healing shard. Jeez, I don't know what is up with my reading today. Oh, hey, look, I'm building up the bar even when I'm not attacking an enemy. So, oh, maybe that's what all these like crates and stuff are for. Whoa, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Okay. I'm just like interrupt this guy. Okay, so ability. Okay, so the red bar builds up. Okay, the red bar builds up really quick, actually. Okay, that's a healing shard. Alright, so I am going to go ahead and... Oh. Okay, take some damage. Yeah, see, watch. Hold on. Here's the red thing. I want to see if it fades out. Wait. Interact? Alright. What? I might have to edit some of that out. That's not really like that's not really channel friendly, honestly. That was cool, don't get me wrong. And none of this matches what we were just looking at. I don't know. Whoa, what just happened? Did I miss something? I have no idea why my guy just like freaked out. I did not do that. He did that on his own. Alright, so there's trains here. That's interesting. What? Hold up. Okay. Maybe there's puzzles in the future in this game, but otherwise, if there's no puzzles, if this is just like a random feature where I can push boxes around, I kind of love it actually, because it's so stupid. People. That's interesting. Wait, were there people? No, everyone we knew was dead in that place, right? Interestingly enough, I can't attack while I'm here. My boys went to the far corner today. The whole camp was destroyed. Imagine that. Not a single living soul. Not even the elderly were spared. What if the Lunar Order returned? Okay, so we have the Solar something and the Lunar Order. Alright, 2 opposing factions, or one's working together maybe. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Everyone's rushing to the central station, but the father doesn't let the unworthy in. But everyone wants a better life, so they'll still live nearby. And now we want to huddle in these crowded corridors. Okay, so these people are trying to get to see someone called the Hand, but only the father lets like worthy people in, and so people just kind of hang out nearby, just generally wanting a better life, so presumably living near the central area is a safer place. What is going on? Okay, so every once in a while I have these like schizoid breakdowns, which is, you know, fair enough, I guess. You did watch your family get murdered or taken. The central station. Alright, so this is the place that we've heard about a couple times, and let's see what we got here. Can't talk to anybody. Ooh, what's this? A rock show? Or it skates? Oh, hey. No, I'm gonna go first. Let me go first. Me. Haha. I have a special dash that allows me to go first. Alright, so Culty McCulterson over there definitely wants us to, you know, give everything to these people. And they're turned out they're kind of dicks. What a surprise. So this is the wax. So that must be a bucket of wax. So wax is just the term they decided to call it. This must be the Great Father here. Yeah, it's my kid. Hey! Ooh. Alright. And throw my body in the pile. Hey, it's this guy again. Giving me a tattoo. Makes me come alive. Turn butterflies into a sword. That's pretty cool. Alright, so a couple things about that little cutscene. That was pretty cool. Apparently we are brought back to life after being killed trying to defend our family, you know, our wife and kid. Didn't work out for us, we died, and this figure here has brought us back to life. So apparently they're training me to be some kind of killer? Well, Blondie, I hope that after a year of training, I managed to make a merciless genocide machine out of you, because those are the skills you're really gonna need. Today is the day of the ritual, and all the fanatics of the Hand will gather at the sanctuary again. So, I mean, you better hurry to the central station before they start without you. I'm not gonna put up with you for another year. Okay, so this guy, I'm just gonna go ahead and say he looks like he's part of the lunar cult, because the other guys are the solar corpse people, and this guy clearly looks like he's wearing darker colors. I'm guessing he's like lunar cult people, because he's kind of got like the lunar cult mask type thing on too. Okay, so we have an interactable object up here, and then this freaky looking dude down over here. Start with this, I guess. What's this do? What is that? Okay, that's something that there should be a tooltip for. So if you're watching this, give me a tooltip on what the hell that just was, because that seems pointless. There's no like inventory or anything as far as I know. Maybe this guy will tell me actually. Hey, not so fast. You need to learn how to heal yourself with these plants. Otherwise, I won't let you go any further. It's the master's order. Okay, so that is it. So that's a medkit. So medkits fully restore the hero's health, but you can only be used once. Press R to use it. Pick up and use the medkit. So R. So yep, there's the medkit right there. So push R. Stab myself in the face with it. And heal myself. Alright, we're back in a little village here. Or like a little not village. I really should not use the term village. It's like a little shanty area. Alright, so we're going to pause here. Now that we've seen a decent amount of gameplay, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys what I think about this game. So past this point, I've played for another hour and a half or so. And my overall review of this game is that it's actually a pretty good game. I have no real complaints other than a few kind of nitpicky things, which a lot of it is more personal preference rather than the game actually having anything wrong with it. So I'm going to kind of tell you guys what I like and don't like about the game. And I'm going to start with the things that I don't like because there's only a few of them and they're really not that big of a deal other than it's just not something I enjoy. So the first thing that I don't really enjoy about the game is that the first, 10 minutes or so of the game, you actually do a decent amount of combat. You kind of learn how the game functions, but then suddenly there's this massive break from combat where there's no combat whatsoever, and you're expected to talk to all these people and listen to all their different exposition dumps, and you learn about the game world that way, which is not a bad way to do it, except for that the next time you actually interact with combat, the difficulty scales quite a bit, which is not inherently a bad thing, but it's not something I enjoy because as you guys saw where I was able to interrupt with the basic attacks, the next enemies that you run into, you can't actually interrupt them with a basic attack. You have to use an ability, which is like the big blasty thing, which is, you have to build a meter and then attack. So that's the only way that you can interrupt their attack. So you actually have to rely more on dodging. And the game doesn't really tell you that, which is fine because you don't have to have people holding your hand to play the game, which I'm perfectly okay with. But the game doesn't even lead you to the idea that you should be dodging more, because the first entire section of the game you can just hit the attack button the entire way and kill everyone without any kind of problem. I feel like there just should have been a little bit more of a scaling or a little bit of a break in between all of the talking, because if you actually talk to everybody, it takes like a half hour, 45 minutes just to talk to everybody in between the initial combat and the next combat that happens. So I think they should have thrown in a little bit more combat just to kind of keep the combat fresh in your brain for when they add in a few more game mechanics. And the other thing that annoyed me, and this is actually something that kind of annoyed me a little more than the combat scaling. When you talk to people, there's often times where you have to make a choice in conversation where you can either select multiple options or you only have one option to select. But the game puts a timer, like a little timer that just scales down, and it goes down pretty quickly while you're reading. So you have to actually read the conversation piece and then answer while that timer is going down. So if either A, you're a slow reader, or if you're commentating like I am, where I have to read it out loud and then think about my answer, you're given very little time to actually make a choice on the answer. And there's actually a couple times where I missed answering, mostly because I sneezed or looked away or, did something where I didn't notice that the timer was going, because one, it's not very obvious. It's actually a pretty little timer right below the chat bubble. And if you're not immediately looking for it, it's very easy to miss. So I really wish that they took away this artificial stress in the game, because there's really no reason for it. I went through all the conversations multiple times, and every time I did, it didn't really seem like there was a need to have that timer, other than they put it in to kind of make you make a choice quickly. But I feel like the timers are just way too short, and they don't actually give you a chance to just answer the question. It's just you're basically spamming a button, hoping you get an answer down before the timer runs out. And that actually leads into one other thing that I'm not really sure if it's a complaint yet, because they might fix this, or it might be coming up soon and I just, didn't notice it, or I saw it and I just forgot about it. But when there's a chance to have an opinion in a conversation where you actually have to answer, this little, what I would say like an alignment meter kind of pops up on the bottom of the screen, and it shifts in the direction based on what you chose. And the game doesn't explain what that is. I might have missed it maybe somewhere in the game, but I haven't seen it yet. So if it actually comes up later in the game, then it's not actually an issue, and it's a good way to kind of be vague and let the game kind of progress a little bit naturally before holding your hand and telling you what every feature of the game is. But it does seem like it's important because your choices affect the game world. So I really do wish that they would tell you what that is prior to, it just popping up essentially randomly for you. Because when you're making choices, you have no idea what choices are big and which ones are small. So if some of them are really big and important, it'd be nice to know ahead of time. But that's just a personal gripe. Again, not necessarily anything wrong with the game, just something that I wish was different. And the final thing that I have a little bit of an annoyance towards is the combat system. While it works pretty good, I do feel like there's a little bit of a clunkiness to it that might be just designed that way. So if you guys ever played any of the old beat 'em up games, kind of like the old Ninja Turtle games, like from the arcade days, it kind of feels like that sometimes, where you're just kind of jumping around the screen almost chaotically and reacting to things that are on the screen, but you have to be thinking like 3 or 4 steps ahead. It's almost like you need to know what encounters are coming up so you can prepare when to use your abilities and when not to. Because there's times where if you waste your ability, the next enemy that pops up, you might want to use your ability right away, and you just simply can't. So I just think the combat needs just a little bit of fine tuning, and I think they'll work that out within the first couple patches once a bunch of players start giving their input on it. But that's pretty much it for the negatives. Honestly, the game is very solid, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of my favorite features now. I'm not going to talk about everything because I don't want to spoil the game and ruin it for everybody. This is just a quick gameplay review and quick kind of showcase of the game before the game is released. So without question, my favorite aspect about this game is the storytelling method. This is a game that actually forces you to listen to the NPCs in the game world to get an understanding of how the game world functions. There are no quick ways of being like, hey, this is how the entire world is ran. This is all the information. This is all the different factions. Get going. You now know the world. Move on. Instead, what happens is you actually have to talk to the NPCs in the world, and they tell you a little bit about their lives and what's going on, and you have to piece together how the entire world functions by listening to them. So for someone like me who loves narration and I love the general idea of storytelling in games, this plays very hard into my corner. So I'm really happy about that. And for those of you that like more hack and slash games and don't like the storyline aspect of games, that's actually perfectly okay, because you can actually skip a lot of the talking and just move on and continue through the game and attack things and go fight the enemies and whatnot and never really talk to people. You can play it like that. It's perfectly fine to do that. So you're actually given a very stark choice between how you want to play the game. If you want to really delve in and learn things, you can. At the same time, if you really don't care, you don't need to. You just deal with the main story elements and play on from there. Another thing I really like is the art style. So the art style is your kind of standard pixelized art, but they chose their theme and their coloring and everything very specifically. So the game feels very dark and grungy and almost what I would say hopeless, but at the same time, it's not just grayscale like a lot of games do to kind of cheap out and make the game look dark and dingy by doing it that way. They took a lot of care into actually designing the world to make it look like you're truly in a dystopian era. You see a lot of familiar things like trains and whatnot, and like like barrels on fire and things like that to know that the world is not perfect. There's a lot of bad things going on, but you're also not just limited to seeing all darkness all the time to kind of keep you feeling down in that respect. So the game actually feels really pleasant playing through because you actually can see the world, understand what they're going for without having to kind of deal with the tolerance of grayscale theming. So A+ for artwork and coloring. I absolutely love it. They did a fantastic job with all that stuff. And then the final thing that I'm going to say is what I would almost say it's fantastic to a point. The combat system, even though I did complain about it a little bit, it has a very specific play style. And if you're from the age of like arcade games where you have like Battletoads, Streets of Rage, Gauntlet, and things like that, this game has a very similar feel. It's not exact. It doesn't copy it. It's not just another hack and slash game, but it reminds you of that. It gives you a push towards nostalgia where you're like, hey, this is kind of like the games I grew up on, or, you know, the games that, you know, you played and they're just fun to jump on and beat up a bunch of guys and move on. But then at the exact same time, you have to use a decent amount of strategy. You can't just waste your abilities. You can't just jump around the map all wildly. You do kind of have to be aware of where you're at on the battlefield and make sure you don't put yourself in a spot where you're just going to die, which again, it's very similar to the old arcade style games. But with this game, they add in a bunch of new abilities and a bunch of, I'm not going to spoil the combat system for you because I want you to see it for yourself. I will do later videos, maybe if people like this video, and actually show more of the game and more of the combat system, but it has a very cool feel to it. I'm just going to go ahead and say it that way. It's different. It's not exactly like any other combat system that I could think of, and it's not even really that similar, but it has a very pleasant feel to it, and then I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. When the game comes out in a couple days here, I think that we're going to hear a lot about the combat system. I think that's going to be one of the main things talked about, because the fact that you have several different, we'll say, combat styles to switch between, you can't always use your favorite play style. And I'm going to use the example of a lot of people that play games like Skyrim and go with like a stealth archer constantly because it's easy, they can do it, and they know how to do it. So a lot of people fall into this niche of playing the same thing all the time. This game forces you to not do that. You can have your favorite style and it can work for a lot of things, but there are times where you're kind of forced to switch and use something you may not be great with. And I actually think they do it really well. It's not in an unfair way where you're suddenly very underpowered and you can't handle something and you have to switch because of that. It's more like, hey, this enemy is strong versus your playstyle. Switch it up or you're either going to have an extremely hard time or you're just not going to be able to do it. I think the combat system is very creative and I'm looking forward to seeing a couple updates on it because there are a couple things that, like I said, do feel a little bit clunky, and I'm not worried that they're going to figure it out. I think they will. I think once enough players start commenting on it, I think immediately they're going to fix some of the issues that I have seen personally. But that's going to do it for the review of this game. So There Is No Light is a really good game. I really enjoyed it. I'm not necessarily a huge hack and slash fan, but this game has enough roleplay element to it that it drew me in pretty good. Like I said, I played it for a few hours. I planned on playing it only for about an hour, hour and a half, and leaving a quick review and being done, but I ended up playing it for several hours, which is, in my opinion, a good sign. That generally means that it's a game that is a little bit addictive to play, and you do kind of want to keep playing because you want to see what's just around the corner, and the game does a really good job at making you feel that way. So I want to thank the devs for giving me this game free. Again, this is not a sponsored video. They didn't ask me to review it or anything. I'm just doing it because they gave me the game free, and I decided, hey, I have it before the game is technically released. Let's give some people some more information before the game is out. So if you guys watch this, if you liked it or anything like that, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.